What's up, everybody? Welcome back to IGN's E3 2014 live show, live from the E3 show floor. Oh my gosh, all we're doing right now is seeing amazing games. And up first is Josh with Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls Ultimate Evil Edition. Oh, got it all out.
I know it's a big mouthful, isn't it?
It is, but
right.
It's a great game, so it's worth it.
It totally is. It totally is.
If somebody at home is a fool and doesn't understand what they're looking at, what are they looking at?
So what they're looking at is, they're looking at the Ultimate Evil Edition of Diablo 3. So what it has all the greatness of Diablo 3 on console, so all the 5 classes, Act 1 through 4, and all that sort of great sort of couch co-op that made the first version on the console so awesome. Plus, you have the Crusader, brand new class we're introduced for Reaper Souls. He's this knight in battle-scarred armor.
Gotcha.
And we have Act 5, which is right now what we're seeing the beginning of that act. And we have Adventure Mode, which is a brand new way to play Reaper Souls, plus a slew of really cool console features.
Now, the biggest news for me that works out, we've talked about this on Up at Noon, of course, is the fact that my PS3 character carries over to this, the PlayStation 4 version.
Super important that it does.
It's incredibly important. I would have burned down your building if it didn't happen.
You know what? I think there would be a whole legion of people wanting to burn down our building. So we wanted to avoid that.
So as somebody who's still playing Diablo 3 on console, the regular version, what is Adventure Mode? I'm not familiar with it.
So you know, so Adventure Mode really opens up the gameplay experience, right? So we have a really cool story. You play Acts 1 through 5, you know, and it's a great experience. So full of randomized environments and levels and all the great loot. But in Adventure Mode, we sort of take you off the rails. We open up the entire world of Sanctuary, so you can go anywhere and slay anything. Oh. So we have all these, you can go anywhere. We have bounties, which are randomized objectives. And as you're completing those, you're getting loot, you're getting experience points. And eventually you'll collect what we call keystone rifts, keystones. And then once you have 5 of those, you can actually open up a Nephilim Rift. A Nephilim Rift is a fully randomized dungeon full of different monsters and a boss at the end, and if you kill that guy, there's going to be a lot of great loot.
All right, cool. Because that's what this is all about, is loot, of course.
Yes.
So, I mean, looking at the game right now, obviously the first thing I see as a PS3 player is how much better it looks. It just looks sharper, there's more detail.
It looks beautiful.
Color. How hard was that to do?
You know what, it was, I mean, I won't say it was surprisingly easy. We have, you know, some pretty fantastic programmers, but, you know, the PlayStation 4 is such a great platform. It was easy for us to sort of take, you know, the PlayStation 3 version and just like, you know, make it run, you know, add, you know, 1080p, you know, some normal mapping, some things that are specific to the PlayStation 4 and the console version. So, and it looks sharp. You mentioned it, right?
And of course now, for people at home who don't follow along, which they should be, you're playing as 2 players locally right now.
Right.
You can log in if you're logged in as your other. This is the big thing with the girlfriend, right?
Yep.
I have it on I'm playing on my PS4. I'm playing as Game Over Greggy. She wants to play with me. If she comes in, turns on the controller, logs in, she gets trophies on her account.
She totally does.
Yeah.
Right. And for example, if you have your level 60 character, and she jumps in, she can jump in as a level 1 character because we have what we call apprentice mode. So we can have characters of very different levels playing together, and everybody will have a really good time.
Yeah, you were telling me about that, right? Like, so it'll automatically give her like a buff, basically, to be on my
basically,
level to survive.
It sort of brings her up so that she's at
But on top of that,
level.
she's getting, isn't there an XP bonus, I think?
Yeah, there's an XP bonus, which you get normally from playing multiplayer, and so it's a great experience.
Yeah.
So we want to make it even better.
I mean, was that based on feedback you got from
Absolutely.
players?
You know, one of the things we love, you know, Blizzard is all the great feedback we get from our players, and we really wanted to make sure that we listen to that feedback, and Apprentice Mode is one of the top things they requested. The other thing they requested is, you know, when you're playing, you know, couch co-op, the Barbarian's always taking all the loot.
Yeah.
So what we do now is we do per player loot in couch co-op settings. So if an item for me drops and you pick it up, it will go into my inventory.
Great.
So it really keeps us in the game, playing, and not necessarily
And
arguing.
you guys are talking about the fact too that the loot drops are smarter this time around. Is if I'm playing as, you know, Witch Doctor, Demon Hunter, I'm gonna get loot for me rather than getting Barbarian stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you added that.
Again, so something that all our players wanted, right? They could say, like, stop the Barbarians from taking all the loot. So I said, okay, we will do that. So.
How hard is it to iterate on a game like Diablo, listen to the community, but separate, I guess, the wheat from the chaff, right? Of like, it just not it all being noise and you feel like you have to do everything, but rather finding what the real pain points are and going and working on.
Well, you know what? I think it really starts from the fact that, you know, we really play our game. Like, you know, we will, you know, work at it in the office, and then when we go home, we're still playing it. Right?
Yeah.
We just can't stop playing the game. So, a lot of the stuff that we hear from our players are like, since we're players ourselves, we're like, yeah, that's something we really need to fix.
Yeah, we have had that problem at home as well. Yeah. So what are the other new things coming to the Ultimate Edition here?
So again, the real focus for the Ultimate Evil Edition, aside from all the great content, is the ability for players to really share their adventures, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about the Apprentice mode, which is one of the things we're adding. We have player gifts as well, so that you'll be playing and an item will drop, and you'll be able to send it to me as a gift. But I think the really exciting one that we're talking about is what we call the Nemesis system.
Yes.
So what happens here is, like right now we're seeing, either Johnny who's a Crusader or Steven who's a Demon Hunter. Like if one of those skeletons were to kill either of them, there's a chance that monster's going to level up, right? So a portal's going to open up, going to jump through that portal, and then that monster's going to look at my friends list, pick somebody on that friends list, and go hunt them down. So then the next time I'm playing, we'll be playing, and all of a sudden some ominous music will start up, the screen gets a little darker, and all of a sudden the portal shows up, and then Johnny's killer steps through, right? And if I kill him and I avenge him, I'm gonna get some loot, Johnny's gonna get some loot. But the really cool thing is, if I do not kill him, he's gonna pick one of my friends and go into their game. So it's a really good way of playing together without being together.
See, that sounds way more like Diablo than the gift does. Oh, I found this piece of loot and I'll send it to my... Oh, I got killed by this horrible creature and now it's going to Damon Hatfield's game and it's going to kill him.
We try to play both sides. But the evil side tends to win out a bit more. So.
I like the idea too that they just randomly pop up, right? I think we talked about this before. You never feel safe.
You're totally right.
Damn right. I usually am. You know that.
I do. So yeah, it's gonna be. It's such a great thing. I mean, I think the first time you're playing a game and the Nemesis comes through, I think it's one of those moments that everybody's gonna remember.
Right.
Right. Because it's a big scary monster.
Now here's my question. I have 2,000 friends. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you facts. I have 2,000 friends. Does that mean I will be overloaded with monsters? And
no, you know what? This is something, we want it to be cool. We want this to be a really cool moment.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be punishing. We don't want it to be annoying or anything like that. So it's something that will happen from time to time, but it's not something that's going to happen every single time you log in. And again, it's a moment. If it happens all the time, it stops being a moment.
Were you surprised by the overwhelmingly positive reaction to Diablo 3 on consoles? I mean, when you say Diablo, right, I think PC and mouse. And then when it came to consoles, it seemed like everybody was reinvigorated on the franchise.
It's... I've always been a big believer in the fact that Diablo could make the transition to console. I mean, it's an action RPG.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, what you're doing is you're killing monsters and looting them, right? So I think transitioning to a direct control scheme, I think it makes the game feel very different, because you're now the Crusader or that Demon Hunter on screen. That's your character. There's a direct one-to-one link with your character, and it's more dynamic, it's more visceral. So, we had some challenges, not so much on the performance side, but this is a UI-heavy game.
Right.
So how do we make that UI unintrusive? How do we make it, you have all the information that you need? So that is probably the hardest aspect of translating the experience onto console.
And even in the grand scheme of things, was that hard, or did it just take thinking about stuff in a different way?
We really needed to sort of go back and rethink how we wanted the UI to work.
Yeah.
And it just took a lot of iteration, right?
Okay.
It took us over a year.
I've never talked to you about how much I dig all this, the way you present information. You're talking about your UI, right?
Yep.
Over on the side, when you pick up a new piece of armor, it's at a glance. You can see if it's better. You don't have to jump into a menu. The destruction bonuses here you're getting, these records, these XP bonuses. It's all there, basically, like that. You can see immediately what you got.
I think it's really important. You mentioned the destruction bonuses. We also have the massacre system as well. Now, these are features that were in the PC version that I think we really wanted to sort of amp them up and to really focus on what we were calling action combat.
Yeah.
So now, the more sort of barrels you destroy, you get a small speed boost. And the more kills you can chain, you'll actually get a massacre bonus. It gives you more XP. And these are little really cool little moments that really change up the rhythm of your gameplay in a cool way.
Is it hard keeping all the different fan bases happy? You have you have your PC and you have your console, and now you get all these guys involved again. is it one of those things of, if we make this, how can we make a change here? You know, how do we patch this or do that? Is that like a problem, or do you see the communities as so separate that it's not that big of a deal?
You know what? No, we see it as one big community. They just play different flavors of Diablo, right? It's like peanut butter, right? Some people like smooth peanut butter, some like crunchy peanut butter, but it's still peanut butter, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and what we try to do is we take each version and we try to ask ourselves, how can we make this the best version for this platform? And now, if there are features that sort of make sense to transition, you know, to PC or from PC to console, you know, we definitely take a look at that, and we ask ourselves, hey, does this make sense? So I think there's a few things here that we're definitely going to look at to see if we can make that transition over to PC.
Nice. So then, you're talking now about looking at this and seeing if you move some of these to PC. Is your work ever done? Will Diablo 3 ever be a done, finished product? You guys can focus on something else.
Well, that's a very good question. You know, so at Blizzard, we love supporting our games.
Yeah.
You know, so right now we have a year of some really crazy stuff that we're going to be working on. It's going to be, and we just released patch 206. You know, there's going to be more patches coming up. So, and you know, we're going to see how we can bring some of those patches onto the console version.
So no, your work is never done.
No, it's I mean, people were I mean, we were patching D2, you know, 8-9 years after it came out.
True.
So, you know, it's and we love this game. So
yeah.
Yes, our work is never done.
When you go home and you play the game,
Yep.
Who's your main? What class do you roll?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to say all of them.
Yeah, but I'm making you pick one.
You're going to make me pick one. I mean, right now, the Crusader's been so much fun.
Yeah.
And so I've been, you know, leveling up my Crusader on PC, but on console, the Crusader just feels so great because it's got like the ability of doing melee combat and range combat at the same time. There's something about having direct control over the Crusader that feels really tight and solid.
Right.
So
the correct answer, of course, was Demon Hunter.
See, that was my first class.
Yeah.
I mean, Demon Hunter just.
See, I screwed up. I always name him after. I always make either my character is named after Taylor Swift or Kara Zor-El, you know, Supergirl. So I named her Kara, and then she's using bow and arrow, and I'm like, should have gone with something Green Arrow related here. I kind of screwed this up, but I'm happy with it.
Okay, good.
I'm happy with all the loot I'm getting. I'm happy that I get to transfer my character over here in a little bit. Was there any, like, you guys seem like such an interesting organization, Blizzard, right? And especially everybody working on this property. Was there any pushback, or was it easy to make people understand that you were going to bring PS3 saves to PS4?
Totally, everybody. I mean, that was the, you know, one of the first questions anybody asked. I mean, it was one of the first questions we had as a team, and then we were talking to Mike Morheim and Pardo. They were like, okay, well, are we going to be allow our players to bring over their saves? And such an important thing that, you know, it's one of those things we call a quality of life issue for our players, right? And we want it to be super smooth for them.
How did you run into any issues, like, I mean, in terms of quality of life that you couldn't find a workaround for, or is that like pretty much paramount to getting the game out?
I think it's paramount, right? And that's as we're always working on the game, it's something we always try to make sure that we make the experience needs to be smooth and great for the player. So,
well, I hope you're happy. All I want to do now is go home, play more Diablo 3.
You know, that's exactly what I'm going to do right now.
You suck.
Yeah,
you get to go home. When does Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls Ultimate Evil Edition come out?
August 19th.
You finally have a date.
August 19th.
Fantastic.
2 months from now.
Thank you so much for coming by.
Awesome. Thanks for.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, thank you for coming by, watching us all week long here on IGN as we bring you live demos, live shows from E3. Up next, it's the one and only Dying Light. Don't go anywhere.